Sanjay Sahai, former IPS officer, joins me here on this broadcast. Sushant Sareen, strategic affairs expert, Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma is with us. Sushant Sareen, all roads, it seems, are leading to Al-Falah University. The question is, it is an educational institution. That's where the radicalization of all these doctors happened. And that's where the investigation is now headed, where the junior doctors have been questioned and several contemporaries of these doctors are also under the scanner.
Maria, I think that's quite natural. You will question all the people who would have come in contact with the terrorists, and you don't know whether the university was responsible for radicalization or these guys that were using the university as a cover under which to operate. So I think let's not jump to conclusions because yesterday somebody who had bought that I-20 car, that guy's name was plastered all over the place. And it's very unfair because ultimately the car was sold a number of times and the guy who
That's
finally
right.
bought it, so I think we need to be careful before, pronouncing a verdict on a university or a bunch of people who might have
Absolutely.
contact with these guys. So that is one.
Absolutely.
Secondly, I think it's very clear that this was a very, very big plot, which has been, of course, nipped in the bud. Okay, this is notwithstanding the fact that this guy went and he blew up that car or it got blown up. We don't know that. I think that's again a matter of speculation as of now. We don't know whether he was running away with that material or they had managed to rig up one particular car and he used that as the getaway car and then he decided that he can either use it or lose it. And he decided to use it. But again, like I said, this is a matter of speculation. What is also important is that when people ask questions, what was the need for doing the raid yesterday when people were going to go in for polling in Bihar? Number one, to link it up with the Bihar election is damn stupid in my mind. And the reason that you have to go after a particular terror network is because you have probably come to the conclusion that you have sealed up the entire case and you've got all the people, and to not move in at that point in time would mean that you allow this plot to go through. So I would imagine that the security forces would have raided those places after due deliberation and not because they were keeping a certain political timeline in mind. The same thing happened. You remember when Operation Mahadev took place in Srinagar against the people who are believed to have been responsible for the Pahalgam attacks. Again, the same kind of conspiracy theories and political imputations were made. So I think people, you will have to raid these guys when you think that the plot is now going to reach the stage of implementation and you need to finish it there and then. Uh, but I think a lot of the information will come as and when the investigations are carried out, interrogation is done. The good part is, if there is a silver lining, it is that you manage to catch a bunch of these guys alive, and that should help you unravel that entire conspiracy in a much more effective manner.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're clutching at straws, but out here you've got the guys involved, you've got them in custody. So
Right.
that's a good thing.
So, Sareen, I agree with you that there should not be a complete verdict pronounced against Al-Falah University, because that certainly doesn't serve the purpose of all those who are studying there, the faculty that is working there at present. But Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, one thing is becoming clear, that we were talking about homegrown terrorists in the context of Jammu and Kashmir. What does this white-collar terror network now mean?
Thank you, Maria, for inviting me. I agree with what Sushant said just now. The fact is that we talk about white collar now when we see a number of doctors and number of others involved into this act of terror. But we have had ground workers for a very long time, last 20, 30 years. They've been caught. Many of them are white collar of one kind or the other. And they have been arrested, people who are respected people across into the valley. So, to say that since it come down to Delhi and Faridabad, we say there is white collar and we are broadcasting it. It's not that it is something new. They have been people of this kind of respect who have been caught earlier as conduits, as supporters, as radicalizers, as in many which ways. So yes, this is a phenomena that's been continuing. This has come to light in Delhi, and that's why it has been picked up in that manner. So I think this is one module which has been got. It's got deep roots. I agree that would have been a major event being planned, a major series of events being planned with the quantum of uh, ammunition that has been picked up and the explosive that has been picked up. Not ready as yet as bombs, but then it's all available there. And if this is one module, there would be many more other modules around which we are not as yet aware, or maybe they're under investigation or under watch or something like that. So one module is around which is open, and we have some answers. We get some more answers here, but there would be many more which
Okay.
we have to follow them
Okay.
later.
Okay. Yashwardhan Azad, former IPS officer, is also joining us. But before that, Sanjay Sahai, given the nature of investigation which has happened in the last 24 hours, because around the same time I was reporting from the site of the blast last evening, and of course we saw NIA, NSG, UPATS, and Delhi Police Special Cell officers all on ground collecting various evidence. Now it is the NIA, the Federal Counter-Terror Agency established in 2008, now taking charge of the entire investigation. The question really is, given how the tentacles of this entire terror module is spread across states, do you think it will take time to unravel what really led to this blast in Delhi, or are you sensing that the various agency coordination will make it faster?
See, the various agencies' coordination has been commendable, what we have been seeing since yesterday, and all the developments and evidence and arrests which has happened in last 24 hours, slightly more than 24 hours, at least has brought us to a situation where we know what the contours of terror are, which were the main personas, where it is emanating from, and what it intended to impact. So broadly, and whether it was out of fear or it was for whatever other reason, because lots of these terrorists, supposedly medical professionals, have already been nabbed. So that being the case, I think we will be able to put the threads together and we will be able to get a complete picture. Undeniably, the whole investigation effort would be restricted to the Delhi bomb blast or the Red Fort bomb blast, and the whole wider gamut of things which has been happening might not get fully satisfied as far as the present probe is concerned. Let us break a couple of points. One is that these 5-7 of the doctors would not have been radicalized 5 months back or 6 months back, which primarily means that the operations have been on for last couple of years, might be even at a time when these people were going through their medical education. Second is your GMC Srinagar. Third is your Al-Falah University. Now, these, whether the university managements were involved or the managements were not involved, there's a very clear-cut, discerning eye which brought the academic institutions into the play of a terrorist ecosystem, because these are the institutions where we cannot ever think of any terrorism happening. So that has been very clearly and very closely calibrated, designed, and put into operation. And all these professionals are not the only ones, because when to say 2,900 kgs of explosive move, it has been moved in different direction in variety of ways. We are not convinced of the fact that this is the whole lot of explosive which is available, and only this much has moved. With regards to large number of operations which are going on to nab these people, I think those have not delivered results, and at particular points in time, we have felt
Okay.
that everything has gone to a lull.
Okay.
But that has been utilized for preparation, for planning, for variety of other things. And if we get into the handlers part of it, I think still a lot needs to be done as far the handler part of it and as far the technology part of it is concerned.
Yes. Yashwardhan Azad come in now, on particularly the role of the university where they studied. Of course, this is a subject of larger issue and debate about radicalization and the larger Islamization which is happening in several pockets. And that's where they all met. That's where that bonding started, and then they fanned across India in various parts. And what we are seeing now is perhaps a case of radicalized youth.
You see, radicalization is a challenge which is across the world for many of the security agencies which are facing. In San Francisco, you had that couple who was teaching a very fundamentalist kind of an Islam and trying to recruit people. It has happened all over the world. In fact, if you remember, even from Kerala, some educated students and persons fell prey to the ISIS luring them on the internet. Some of them died and some of them ran away. And those who were interrogation clearly revealed that they were lured into the trap. And finally, they were able to resist. Now, across the country, de-radicalization attempts have been going on. There's no doubt. In the case of Kashmir, there is one particular Maulvi who was the preacher for all these people. But this sensational module has revealed certain thing, and which is that this kind of doctors who have gotten together, it's a very sinister kind of a module, I would say, because under the garb of the doctor's, coat, they have been assembling this material, ammonium nitrate. Remember, only 2 tons of nitrate were collected by that Oklahoma guy, McGay, whatever his name was. And here you had 3 tons, which could have just created mayhem and complete disaster. The other is again the doctor module, which was making ricin. The only time I heard of ricin was somebody getting killed in London, some Bulgarian, because ricin doesn't even have an antidote. And if this ricin is mixed with prasad in mandir, you can imagine the kind of a social, bomb blast it would have taken place. So this is a real challenge now, but I'm happy. I mean, we are tracing another Maulvi somewhere in UP, and the linkages are coming far and wide. So I'm this investigation is on the right track. And I think the investigative agencies have also moved in very well. The coordination is excellent, and I'm sure we'll find more and more leads in time to
One
come.
important aspect of this entire investigation, as Al-Falah University, which is a private university in Dauj in Faridabad, is under this scanner, Mr. Azad, is that if the multiple doctors who have been detained are all from the campus, basically they have had some association with this university. The investigators are also examining a possible misuse of labs and employment links of key suspects with no formal institutional culpability.
Yes, so there is
No
a
institutional culpability has been established yet, while we emphasize on that, but a possibility of misuse of labs cannot be ruled out.
Yes, I totally agree. And I'll give you one example that this Dr. Umar, only an hour before, the module had been busted. And this guy leaves Faridabad at 7 o'clock in the morning. And while there were, so many raids going on, perhaps there were no police posts and nakas. And this guy just drove 60 kilometers away. And then he was hanging around Delhi for so many hours and then busted it. That module, that bomb was not even properly, assembled. And
Yes.
that's why the damage was less. Otherwise, there would have been a huge damage. So obviously, there was an ecosystem which was supporting him. And those labs you're talking about, absolutely sure, if they had something to do with either ricin or something, then we should see the linkages between the 2 modules. And if they are together, then obviously it's a very sinister thing, as I pointed out earlier.
Yes, because if we look at the explosive cache which has been recovered from Faridabad and from various others, because it's all, pointing towards what is now being called as a white collar module, and overall like a Faridabad module. In fact, some piece of breaking news which is coming in now, and I'll go back to the guests in just 30 seconds. All suspects, that is the senior doctors, are from Al-Falah University. Remember, Al-Falah University is a private university which is located in Faridabad, whose campus and affiliates have now come under the lens after the blast. Al-Falah University website has now been hacked by Indian Cyber Alliance. Official website is showing some messages which have been put out. Let me bring in Sushant Sareen now. Sushant Sareen, as agencies are conducting searches in and around this university area, it's a coordinated effort by multiple officials, one thing is becoming clear that these, when we talk about overground workers, something that seem to have left Jammu and Kashmir, but then their connections are in other parts of India. And that's the concern here.
No, but again, nothing quite unique in that, Maria. Look, I think partly this is a problem that it's very easy to stereotype people. And when you say white collar module, what the hell do we mean by that? Look, I think it's just people like you and me expressing shock that it's people like us who are involved in something like this. But terrorism is not something that poor people do. Terrorism is something that it's the lower middle class, and sometimes rich people do. I can give you any number of examples where highly educated people from some of the top universities working in MNCs, working as top doctors, engineers, you name it, they've been involved in this kind of activity. Terrorism at the end of the day is an ideological issue, at some level, even a political issue. So I think the mistake we very often make is, and this is a kind of dumbing down, which I think a lot of people, including in our government and our political establishment, have been doing, that you educate them, and that is when you will make sure that there will not be terrorism. It means that you've not studied the phenomena, you've not tried to profile the terrorists in a proper manner, and that is why you indulge in these kind of myth making around terrorism, and you make the kind of mistakes we make. Having said that, again, it's not entirely unheard of that in a particular university, in a particular setting, there could be a bunch of people, like-minded people, who decide that they want to do something, right? Uh, does that implicate the administration of the university? I think it's too early to say. Were university assets being used or misused by these characters? Again, I think we are jumping to conclusions, which is not entirely fair at this point in time. It is entirely possible the labs were being used. It's quite possible that they were not being used, or they were being used without permission, surreptitiously. Things were being smuggled out of the labs to rig up some things. That's entirely possible.
Okay,
But I
because
don't.
Sushant Sareen, at the moment, what we can certainly say is that there is no clarity over whether there was some kind of university linkage here. So, as you said, there is a possibility that the laboratory was being used surreptitiously.
So exactly. So, it's like saying that Delhi University was to blame for the parliament attack because one of the guys involved in that particular conspiracy was a professor in Delhi University. I think a lot of us on your channel right now are from Delhi University, and frankly, Delhi University is known for many other things, but not for this kind of stuff. So there could be people from Delhi University who are involved in it. The same thing would probably apply out here. So let's wait and see. I would hold judgment or passing judgment until more evidence and more investigations have been done. And maybe after that, we can come to some kind of a conclusion of the complicity or lack of it of the university. But,
All right, point well taken here. Yashwardhan Azad, I think, being a lot circumspect in a developing story like this really helps, because as we have been saying that there are doctors, and when we use the word white collar ecosystem, it can have multiple repercussions as well.
No, absolutely. I mean, but to say it that is a white collar kind of group, there's nothing wrong with that, because these are all guys who are with white collars. They are traitors to the country, and they are traitors to their own uniform also. The kind of thing, the reprehensible thing which they have done is something unheard of, that you think of doctors as saviors of people, and they are the ones who are against their own country. Imagine the kind of money which has been spent on them. Imagine the kind of waste of resources on them. So if there is there more culpability of more people, I don't rule. For example, Maria, today only the modules heads have been caught. But tomorrow the couriers, the runners, the sellers, the dealers, the chemical signature will lead us to a lot of more linkages. And in that linkage, if we find that more and more people are there, then we realize what a sinister network this has been. And then we'll definitely get to know how much of the university complicity is there. Right now, yes. We cannot say They can be misusing the labs, they can be misusing the precincts. But whether there's an institutional support, we don't know. There is a kind of an ecosystem, yes, because otherwise a fellow like this cannot just get out at 7 and nothing happens. He runs away and nobody's able to track him. But the more important thing, again, which I feel is that this thing emanated from Jammu and Kashmir, from that Maulvi who was contaminating this, so-called wisdom to all these people. How many he has contaminated is something which we need to know. And it could be just across the country, because many of these people meet also together. They could be having handlers from outside, fine. They could be, running those encrypted messages, which again is a very common feature. They might be paid through a cryptocurrency system. That also, again, it'll be found later. But right now, what is more important is what are the other things where they were planning to create this kind of a mayhem. And I'm sure, with the linkages we have now, with the interrogations they can do, we'll be able to find out many, many more things which are going to
There is a
surface.
piece of breaking news which is coming in now. I'll request all the panelists to continue to be with us. Now, Dr. Shaheen's brother has been arrested. Remember, Dr. Shaheen is already in the custody of the police, and Shaheen's brother, Parvez Ansari, has now been arrested by the UPATS and Jammu and Kashmir police. Samarth is joining us now. So, what is the role of Parvez Ansari here, the brother of Dr. Shaheen? Samarth.
Well, exactly, Maya. The current update coming in this particular story is the detention of Parvez, brother of Shaheen, because we have got to know about the Shaheen's role so far, but there is no information about Parvez's role. And what we are getting from sources that the interrogation, firstly, is about Shaheen's entire role, which is still under scanner, because they recovered a hard disk, a mobile phone from Saeed Ansari's house to ensure that what other terror angles could come from that particular role of Parvez as well, because Parvez is a member of Integral University in Lucknow, so he is also from that particular medical background. So it's going to be worth seeing whether Parvez does have some role about it, or the interrogation or the detention is all about seeking more information about that particular lady. So it's going to be worth seeing. But the current update is that firstly, when the ATS team reached the Maniao area of Lucknow, he was not found. But later, what we're getting from sources, he was detained from some other location, which is anonymous for the media person, because ATS was not sharing that information. That's also about regarding security concern, and that's why the detention has taken place. It's confirmed, and obviously the interrogation is on. And the ATS guy is stressing more on the role of Shaheen in this particular case, not about Parvez, but it is more about Shaheen, and that's why Parvez, after Saeed Ansari, the father, is one of the major characters in this particular story. Back to you.
Thank you for joining us. Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, when we look at the direction of the investigation, of course, there are multiple states, multiple agencies which are involved in this, and NIA overseeing everything. But the Jammu and Kashmir police role becomes particularly important given the fact that the suicide bomber, Dr. Umar, actually has links in Pulwama.
So many issues here, Maria. One is that many of these people who come down to various universities around in Delhi and anywhere else are have got a kind of quota. There is a quota given out by AICTE which says that students who are from family income of less than 8 lakhs can come and get seats into universities like Al-Falah. So there will be a bunch of Kashmiri students who land up into a particular institution like this, which gets its quota, and then they can be there. Second issue, a single Maulvi or two Maulvis do not make a radicalization issue. The radicalization is carried out by CDs which are in rotation, Zakir Naik CDs or CDs or information on the dark web. Internet is open, so everybody can get radicalized by the kind of information being pushed around here. The third point I wish to make is that, despite the fact he left at 7 in the morning and, he did not do anything till 6:54, but I think he found the right place to go, the right time to go, for which a terrorist would look for to make the excellent amount of noise that could be made. Nothing better than going to Chandni Chowk and just before 7 o'clock and take a blast at it. So whether it was a crude bomb, it was a mistaken bomb, but he went to the right place. He waited for 3 hours. He moved out of that parking lot and just within 4 minutes reached that red light and blasted at the right place. So I think, we cannot casually say that it has been a crude bomb and he could not manufacture a bomb. That ammonium nitrate does not blast on its own. It requires a detonator. It requires a fuel to add to it. So whether he put nails or not is not important. He had a crude bomb which he knew would be blasted, and he used that bomb at the right place, the right time. So it cannot be casually pushed away. So when we start investigating, how does 3,000 kgs of ammonium nitrate land up in Faridabad? Did it come across the borders? Did it come from some kind of a agency which is using explosives? There is whole lot of investigation to be carried out before we
Absolutely.
come down to. And we have not yet heard about the cell phones or the SIM cards. Have we listened to some kind of conversation that took place in the towers close by to Chandni Chowk at that particular time? Was somebody passing messages across there? So
Yes, a lot of
investigation is.
unanswered questions, Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma, I agree. But a word on Dr. Shaheen Shahid here, Sanjay Sahai. I'm giving you a wrap-up of what exactly her role has been so far. She has been linked with explosives, a seizure which has happened in Faridabad. Her arrest led to Jaish-e-Mohammed's terror module bust, and she has been accused of forming women's wing of Jaish-e-Mohammed. And of course, all this is linked to Al-Falah University and has been a close aide of Dr. Muzammil. The car which was used to store weapons belonged to Shaheen. So she is being seen as an important suspect in this entire terror plot. Sanjay Sahai.
Yes, he's certainly a very important and critical persona in this whole terror plot. And might be she is the critical element in Al-Falah University, where she has a standing and where she is able to connect all these people and being a lady. I think she is adding more might to the whole thing because the capability being a lady would be that she would be more innocent. So starting from there and the nature of assignment and responsibility being given to her by her terrorist masters, of creating a women's organization, and she herself is in possession of weapon and variety of other things, adds a totally different dimension to this whole exercise of radicalization. So radicalization, one of these terrorist guys, primarily male and who understand the whole thing, and to a lady who is also a equal partner, might be this is the cementing factor. Now, as we move further, there will be a huge amount of digital evidence which has already been seized by the investigating agency. I don't know how much of work has been done on that, but in lots of cases, we see as we get into the digital evidence part of it and the communication part of it. So those two add up and give you a different sort of a pattern. With regards to whatever happened yesterday and the person was able to travel, and we are talking about the fact that the seizures were done and the investigating agencies passing on the information to the local police to nab this woman. But the point is, all throughout he has traveled and there's nobody who has checked him. So that becomes very, very important. And generally, if you get into the selection of a terrorist site, primarily for a blast, I think the selection was ideal in whatever state of mind the main perpetrator was. So now three things are very important. When did the radicalization start? If it is
Yes.
happening for 3-4 years. Second is, how does this 2,900 kgs of explosive material reach where it has reached? So there is an understanding that there are institutions, there are
Yes.
routes, and there are methods by which things are moving in a very seamless manner, in a very well orchestrated manner, and they are able to do literally every single agency in this country.
Okay. Okay.
Now, at this particular juncture, it is very, very important that we basically understand the ecosystem while nabbing it so that we
Yes.
don't get into this exercise over and over again.
Okay.
And this is happening since Richard Hadley
I
days.
have just enough time for the final comment from Yashwardhan Azad. Please go ahead, sir.
I'm glad that Sanjay has made my point clear as to what exactly I meant by saying the guy left at about 7 o'clock and cruised through 60 kilometers and then was hanging around in Delhi. That's number one. Number two, radicalization doesn't really, come out of a few cassettes here and there. Radicalization needs a kind of a guru. It needs a
Yes.
kind of a perfect indoctrination, and indoctrination not once but over time. And that's why this is a dangerous module, because if this has happened to our educated set, which has been happening abroad, of course, 9/11 also took place because those pilots were flying in, aeronautical engineers were trained in, in Germany and things like that. But this has a serious portent on national security, this kind of a module. And I think that is why we need a lot of extra care. First, an excellent coordination, more and more linkages to come out. And today, now, we have to be very, very careful about the
The
various
thing is
sleeping.
also clear, Yashwardhan Azad, that this white-collar terrorism isn't new.
Yes, yes. And that's why I said that the ISIS attempt has been right from before.
Yes.
Many educated people have been falling into the trap. But this kind of a sinister getting together of community of doctors is something very serious, because you look at ricin. Ricin doesn't have an antidote, and if it's mixed with prasad, you can see what can actually happen. The doctors, in their cover, they can collect ammonium nitrate. Lady doctor can almost virtually has a carte blanche. She can just go anywhere. So given this kind of a situation, that's why I said that it has very serious portent for national security.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Yashwardhan Azad, Sushant Sareen, Sanjay Sahai, and Lieutenant General Rakesh Sharma.